Larry. Can you explain it? I mean, that's all I want today. That's what I'm looking for from you. I mean, I can't explain it anymore. It's gone beyond anything that, well, in fact, here's what I said today online, Larry. I said, you give me whatever the stock price is today, and I'll backwards explain it.
Which is what you're asking me to do.
This is what
You
I'm
know,
asking you to do.
but in all fairness, it is extraordinarily hard to back explain this. I mean, none of us expected this. Even Brian Wong has been outdistanced.
Right.
Um, you know, I I think there's a lot of merit in the price of the stock. If you seriously believe in what's coming with, you know, full self-driving, or, robotaxi, Optimus, energy, then you have to say we're looking at $1,000 to $10,000 stock.
Right.
It's in that ballpark and within the next 3 to 5 years. So you discount that back and you're not far off the mark.
Right.
You may be a little short. Sorry, the price may be a little bit over the skis, or it may be a long way short.
Right.
But it's not out of court. It's in the general vicinity.
Right.
So we can make a really good case that the stock is well within bounds. We can also make a case that the stock is crazy this early. I mean,
yes.
You can even believe in the theses that we have put forward in these various areas, and you can still say that there are enough variables and unknowns on each of the legs of these theses,
Mm-hmm.
of each of the theses, that you could well want to discount it back a little bit further than the price has got to. So is there a little bit of excitement over Doge, let's face it, I, amongst many other, talking heads, said that Elon's over his skis, you shouldn't get involved politically, it's very dangerous. But as usual, Elon proved all the naysayers, including myself, completely and totally wrong. What he proved is that he was betting on the American people to believe in free speech, to believe in the promises of Trump, of President Trump, and also to believe, as I did, by the way, that the Democrats had completely outworn their welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, above all of that, Elon has the sense of what is right and his commitment to what is right. And it seemed to, appeal to and align with the sense of the American people. So, when I said this was not the greatest, that Elon probably shouldn't be doing this, he was absolutely right to have done it because he called it right, he saw it right, he called it. And so I, along with all the other naysayers, were wrong. He caught he understood the risks, but he got out in front of the real issues and had confidence in the American people that they would follow him. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people, not many people listening to us now, but a lot of people would disagree with that and so on and so forth. But He's proven it. He's proven, the validity of his views. And in so doing, he's gathered a lot of support for him, his companies, and his judgment. So I think that's reflected in the stock price. What's also reflected in the stock price are the shorts running for cover in a very big way.
In a very big way.
We don't know how much of them have been dismantled.
Right.
We don't know how many new shorts are coming in, looking at this price saying, oh, it's impossible, and putting more money on. At a point in time, we'll reach a peak, and then we'll pull back a little bit or a lot, just given the history of the stock. So I would say that anybody who's fervent supporters should be very proud, and those who own the stock should be very proud, but not too prideful, because after pride comes,
Yes.
So we will see the stock pull back at a point in time, and I hope that this time when it pulls back, there are less naysayers to jump on the bandwagon and fly the flag of anti-Elon, whatever. Because let's face it, this company is an historic company, and it's going to perform historic duty for mankind. So we will see success, in EVs. We will see success in energy. We will see success in automation, autonomous cars and robotaxis, and we will see success in, humanoid robots, Optimus. And taken all together, it's going to be very hard to put a value on it for a very long time. Well, I've spoken a long time, but that's my answer to you. I hope that makes any sense.
Yeah, so I love the fact that you ended that by talking, because you gave me the perfect segue. You talked about it. It's a historic company.
Yeah.
And I think that, what we try to do, Elon says we should not do this. We should not do things by analogy. But what we always do is do things by analogy. We always try to look at history and extrapolate or interpolate from what we've learned from history. That's certainly true of people who play the stock market.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 2021 and saying, oh, well, look what happened in 2021. We can guess what's going to happen to Tesla now because of that. We look at Apple, we look at Amazon, we look at some of these other companies, and we try to say, look what happened to them. We can kind of make a guess. As I was putting my list together for you tonight, Larry, I was thinking to myself, there is no historical precedent for what Tesla is doing, because, as Elon says, the bots could change economics. They could change economics. So when you talk about a $10,000 stock, a company that's worth 25 or 35 trillion dollars, compared to Apple today, which is 3.6, you're not talking something where you can analogize. It's completely on another planet.
Well, in order for Tesla to be worth that, it's going to have to transform the global economy, because you can't be worth that percentage, that you can't be worth a high percentage of the global economy without forcing, you can't get to that value because it's too high a percentage of the global economy. The global economy has to expand dramatically in order for that value to be had. So that's a lot of heavy lifting to do, which isn't to say that you can't do that heavy lifting. You certainly, it's been proven you can. I mean, if you go back to the history of Exxon, if you go back to the history of the oil companies, they transformed the global economy. Right. And in transforming the global economy, it became worth the amounts of money that would never have been considered possible, practicable. And the same is true, by the way, of the global telephone company. So, and the global energy company. So, I mean, I absolutely buy what you're selling. But, there's many a slip. We're talking about a gigantic transformation, a gigantic transformation. And when you're talking about transformations that large, there are a whole lot of risks. Global war is one of them, and so on and so forth. So,
Of course, in this environment, Larry, a global war could just mean way more orders for Optimus. Because
well,
the global
maybe,
next,
but yeah, I mean, Optimus is not ready for war yet.
he might be though. Anyway, so then the second half of my idea here, Larry, is that there's never been a CEO like this. There's nobody to
I,
compare to him.
I'm absolutely aligned with that. I mean, if you had described the arc of the last year, this time,
This year, yes.
yes, this year in January or last year, this time, last year at the end of the year, I would have called you nuts. I said, listen, we dream on this program, we dream on these conversations, but that's like out there, far out there. To imagine that Elon would have directly challenged, the existing order, that Elon would have thrown his lot in with Trump, that Elon would have helped engineer this revolution of thought against this kind of absolutely insidious but very powerful move of wokeness. We can describe it all, but it's much more than that. It's
The censorship and everything that
the
went.
censorship. Well, the wokeness, the censorship,
Right.
the whole move to collectivism driven by this particular view of race, critical race theory. I wouldn't have given it 1 out of 10. I wouldn't have given it maybe 2 out of 10. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. I would have given it a 2 out of 10 chance. But how wrong could I have been?
That's true. Yeah, we can always be way off. So I had a conversation earlier today with somebody who watches the show and who respects you a lot, Larry. And he said, his name is Brian. He said, he thinks that the Tesla crowd, another thing that's completely different, unlike any other stock that he knows about, and I agree with him, the Tesla retail investors are actually smarter than the street, and
Well,
probably not by a week or a month or a half a year. He thought it might be by 2 years, that we may be 2 years ahead of the street. And that's not normally the case.
yeah, I'm aligned with that. I'm aligned. I think the Tesla, look, there's some very crazy people amongst the Tesla crowd. There are some, you know, there's some people who are really out there. But as a group, I think we all coalesce around Tesla Boomer Mama. No, I mean seriously. I mean, because she has such a deep background in investment that she understands the mechanics and she understands the processes and the mechanics of it. So she's, one of the really strong professionals that haven't been captured by this old world thinking. And so she gives us a lot of insight and a lot of understanding. And there are others. I would say AJ is one of them, and definitely one of them, and several others. I mean, there are a lot of professionals amongst us that help guide us as investors. I mean, I'm a private investor with a lot of experience, but I've done terribly stupid things in my past,
You have to, Larry. That's how you learn. You don't learn from the stuff that you do that's smart.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think I would have done those things had I had access to people
Yeah.
like, AJ and Tesla Boomer Mama, and because I would have been able to seek their guidance and assistance. Not that I didn't have professionals that I could seek the guidance and assistance, but never the level of respect that I have for these people. So
Yeah,
we're,
and hat tip to Stephen Mark Ryan. I think he kind of started it. You know,
he did, but he's kind of out there. I mean,
no, but he's not
he's
wrong.
hard. He's hard. No, he's not wrong, but he's hardly a professional. So, he's kind of like a lot of us. He's a gifted amateur
Yeah.
and he's done extraordinarily well and he sees very deeply. And I must say, he's amazing, amazing foresight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you're dealing with people with professional backgrounds, they know the lay of the land. They know how the conventions work. They know how the industry works, and it's extraordinarily helpful to have them around. So yeah, we want those with foresight and insight.
Mhm.
People like Stephen Mark Ryan, people like, Holmar's blog. Omar is, amazing, but he's and then, many others. I mean,
Yeah, right. The
I
list
can't
goes
list them and I
on.
can't
Right.
describe each of them, but they're incredibly helpful. And then we have those professionals like AJ and Tesla Boomer. So we have an incredible group of people that cover the span of skill sets and understanding and insight. I can't begin to mention them all because there are just so many.
Yeah.
And so we're very blessed. We're blessed by, some of the most intelligent and some of the most diligent and some of the most experienced. And so you combine all that, and we're just very lucky.
And a lot of passion, a lot of
Yeah.
passionate,
Yeah. Well,
huge amounts
yeah.
of passion.
And I
Um,
think that's inspired by Elon. Elon is a visionary. Apart from being a brilliant technologist, a brilliant manager, a brilliant leader, he's a visionary.
mhm, mhm.
Combine those and you get, incredible strength. Very few people give Elon the credit that he's due from a professional point of view, but I keep reminding people he's a fellow of the Royal Society.
Thanks, thanks.
So few people understand what an honor that is. In the history of the Royal Society, I don't think they've made more than 8,000 people of the world a fellow. And we're going back 400 years. We're going back to Newton, for God's sake, you know, and we're talking about, I mean, this is far, far more of an honor than a Nobel Prize.
Yes, yes. It's a lot more honor today. Hey, so about I don't know, maybe even a year ago, I started my $800 share price theory. You may remember, Larry, because I'm sure I brought it up to you. My
I
eight
called you crazy.
You call me crazy. So my $800 share price
Right.
analysis was that we were at 400 in November of 2021.
Right.
And what we had at that moment was a belief that robotaxi was almost here. We had just been added to the S&P 500, and
Right.
we had a risk on stock market, and we had Tesla growing at 50% a year.
Right.
And that while in the mid, when I came up with the $800 price share theory, it wasn't that we had it at that moment, but I said if we could get back to risk on, get back
Mhm.
to robotaxi being close, and get back to where we thought growth was going to be 50% a year, that we should be at $800 a share.
Right.
So I could make a claim right now. I could make an easy statement that the 475 or whatever it is that we are tonight in the after hours, we're on the way to 800.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible. If you look at Kathy's analysis, or Kathy's team's analysis, and I'm talking about Kathy Wood of ARK Invest. If you look at her team's analysis, they make a really good case for several $1,000s of value around 2027 to 2030. I think it's 2027. I may be wrong. Maybe wrong, and maybe 2029. But I have the details somewhere. But I mean, they're looking at $4,000 to $6,000 And that's kind of not even the bull case.
Right.
And so, if you discount that back, yeah, interest rates are a little bit high at the moment, but if you discount that back, even at today's interest rates, you probably get back to where you are. So there's a lot of argument to be made. I have to laugh at those people who do, these discounted cash flows on auto sales and energy sales,
Right.
because that's not what people are buying. That's not why people are buying Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah. They're buying it.
People, sorry.
Yeah. They're buying it on the future. They're buying it on the expectation of Robotaxi and Optimus.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only value held by the auto company and held by the energy company, or the energy sector and the auto sector, is to generate sufficient cash flow, which together with the reserves will bring about those capabilities. Now, the auto company, has the value of building those cars that will automatically feed the robotaxi. And the energy company has all the value of providing the energy, to enable the building of the cars and enable the artificial intelligence. So it kind of all works together, but at the end of the day, it's a bet on robotaxi and it's a bet on Optimus. And if you don't like that bet, don't buy Tesla. If you like that bet, if the value of Tesla is $500 today, $800 today, or $1,000 today, it mag nicht.
Right.
Buy it. Not investment advice. This is definitely not investment advice. But I'm telling you why you would buy Tesla as opposed to not buy Tesla, given the what constitutes the company. No technical analysis in the world would lead you to invest in Tesla. I mean, Gary Black does an excellent technical analysis, but it's meaningless because the value of the stock is nowhere near the share price today. Because what the share price is telling us is that people now begin to believe Elon Musk. Why? Why would you believe Elon Musk? You believe Elon Musk because he's delivered again and again and again, and because he has this vision that he's able to deliver on. Now, from a timing point of view, it's never accurate, but my goodness, again and again and again and again, he's proved his naysayers, including this idiot, wrong.
How much of an impact do you think 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐲 catching the booster is having on the price right now?
It's just, another data point to show how his vision is extraordinary. Extraordinary. Listen, why was he given the honor of a Fellow of the Royal Society?
I don't know.
Because he landed Falcon booster.
Oh, okay.
He'd done a lot in his life, but a lot of it was all futures. But then he landed the Falcon booster, and the Royal Society understood the importance of that moment from multiple different perspectives. But they saw immediately that suddenly the heavens were opened.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
The heavens were opened.
So
And
Kathy, yeah. So you mentioned Kathy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm borrowing a little bit from an author. Okay, never mind.
So you mentioned Cathie Wood a minute ago. She also
Yeah.
has her compressed spring theory. I don't think she's the only person in the world that has that theory, but we've seen over and over again that Tesla will be flat for a year, 2 years, 3 years, but man, when
And it breaks out.
it finally breaks out, it goes crazy. So is this the beginning of 2019?
No, I think we'll see another flat period before we finally see, the stars. Firstly, one has to say about Cathie Wood, now that I'm talking about great people, I mean, she's a visionary, uber visionaries. I mean, she's extraordinary, and she's built a team. I mean, talk about a brilliant team. Anyway, she's built this fantastic team. She has this incredible vision. She's been proven right, on the matter of Tesla, some years ago when Tesla was, down, I guess in today's terms, it was about $80 or something, or even less, actually. I'm a 15 time, it was like $30 in terms of today's. And she talked about, and talked about how it had this long flat period and was going to break out, and boy, did it break out. So, yeah, I mean, a great visionary with a great sense of, what the future holds. And, she's been proven right again and again and again. And I mean, it's a very, very, and just look at, what her projections on Bitcoin was and where it is today. I mean, it's just amazing.
So Larry, let's I don't know if you can help Kathy on this or not, but I get asked this all the time, and quite frankly, it's on my mind all the time. We know that Kathy has this theory that she roughly takes, which is to not have more than 10% of any of the funds in one stock.
Not a theory.
It's not, I looked it up. It's not in the, what do you want to call it? It's not in the,
Not in the law.
it's not in her law. It's not in her rules. So it is something that she's imposing on it. But
Well, they imposed it upon themselves right at the outset.
right. So my question, Larry, is even given that, if you, from your standpoint, and you're just helping me and maybe others try to understand it, she has more of a insight into the future of the stock. She has more of I mean, I'm sure she's just 100% confident. Her confidence level in the stock is probably greater than yours or mine.
Yeah.
Confidence level in Elon, confidence level in robotaxi happening. She hasn't given us any numbers on Optimus yet, but her confidence level in robotaxi, they've done all the work. If your confidence level is that high, why wouldn't you change your policy and say, let this baby ride along a Ron Barron's kind of approach as opposed to the Kathy Wood?
Ron Barron is no different. He also cut back on Tesla when
Oh,
it.
did he? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Ron Barron sold Tesla about 2 years ago
Oh,
to reduce Tesla, the exposure of the fund, the Founders Fund to, not Founders Fund, what does he call it? Partners Fund. Partners Fund to less than, at that time it was over 20%, and he cut it back to, I think it was 17%. Look, why be a fund? Why not just invest in Tesla and be done? She has a very high level of confidence in the counters that she's invested in. I don't agree with all of them,
right.
but that's fair. I mean, it's hardly likely that I would agree with anybody in their choice on a given thesis.
Right,
But
right.
she has
Every
this.
once in a while, you don't agree with me.
It's been known. It's been known. So it's a fund,
Yeah, yeah.
and she set the internal expectations that she won't exceed this percentage of a particular counter because she wants to run a fund. Look, there are reasons to disperse the risk somewhat. Elon is a human being. Anything can happen to him. He could have a heart attack tomorrow, God forbid, but it could happen. And then the question is, what happens to Tesla? So what happens to SpaceX? So, you have to temper. If you're running a fund, you're running a fund.
Yeah.
If you want to invest directly in Tesla stock and just buy a share of Tesla stock, buy the stock. No, what she is selling is her vision on innovation. And she's based that innovation of 5 platforms, of which Tesla supports at least 2, but certainly 1. And so she spread her risk across those 5. So that's how she operates. And I think it's a very good operation. I don't have a lot of stock in her fund,
Mhm,
but for the children and for my grandchildren, I do.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, I have a small amount as well. I'm a great fan, of course, of for some reason I have her in the same little box in my mind as Tony Seba, the two of them as kind of these
Yeah.
visionaries who have gotten
And
it right over and over again. Yeah.
and the other thing I will say is that not just as she supports or invests in Elon, she invests in another set of unique people and companies, and you're going to see breakouts from many of those companies. Not all of them, of course.
Mhm.
She's making a broad range of bets, which is the whole point of a
Right,
fund.
right.
And you only need a breakout by look what just one company has done in terms of breakouts. So if she gets, a third of a company's breakout or 40% of a company's breakout, my goodness, it's going to be awfully good. I
Yeah.
mean, she's got a team, of incredible people.
So Larry, you haven't got FSD 13. I haven't gotten 13, but we've been watching all the videos. It appears that 13 is really on a different level
Yeah.
in terms of responsiveness and humanness and lane centering and everything else. I mean, you've already been talking for months and months and months about how happy you are with 12.
Oh,
I've had a chance to drive 12 now a couple of times for longer distances, and I mean, it just doesn't make any mistakes. And I'm like, okay, what can 13 do that's that much better? But apparently it's that much better. So are you
well, one of the big things about 13 is that's point to point.
point
You
to
you
point?
can
Yes.
start from a parking lot and go to a parking in a parking lot, you know, without without necessarily changing anything. I have, a few errors in 13 that are consistent.
In 12. Yeah.
Sorry, in 12 that are consistent, which I've seen occurred in 13. And absent those few, I think, it's amazing. I shouldn't speak. I should wait until I get 13. So I'm pretty excited about 13.
Absolutely right. And then you got your wife a Christmas present, I understand.
Yeah, we've had Profit, Prophit, which is kind of a play on
Yes.
profit. Profit. Um, we've had it for 4 years now, and it needs a new set of tires. Don't tell Tesla.
Okay.
But the most important thing is that the transfer of FSD,
Oh, yeah.
in theory, ends the end of this year, and I'm afraid that they'll end at the end of this year. I think they'll reinstate it towards the end of it, but I'm not going to take chances.
Yes, yes, yes.
So to me, this is ideal. And the other thing is, I'm not entitled to the $7,500
Oh, yeah, yeah.
deal, but if I lease the car, I can get the 7,500.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you leased it?
So I leased it
Oh,
because my wife does very little mileage. She
yeah,
does like 7,500 miles a year, 8,000 miles a year at the outside.
yeah.
So I leased it and I get the 7,500 and I get the money back from my old car and I get the transfer. I mean, basically, they're paying me to buy the car. They're literally paying me to buy
That
the car.
is great. That is great. I love it.
Yeah.
And so did you get the performance?
No, of course not. I got the two-wheel drive. I got the look for her. It's a great deal because she doesn't drive a lot. Quite frequently, she goes to my daughter's house, which is in, about 60 miles away. So it's an hour's drive, but this gives her there and back and a lot of mileage in the between, and she doesn't have to get below 30% in mileage. Because as soon as she gets below 30%, she's on the phone to me. Where should I stop to fill? You're going to get home. You're going to have plenty
Right
of.
on the, it's right on the. I told you, Larry, that one day I got off the freeway. I knew I had like 30 miles left or something. But I got off the freeway halfway home. I knew I was going to have to stop sometime, but I didn't want to stop then. And I tried to get back on the freeway, it wouldn't let me. It kept directing the car to the the charging station that was right
Gotcha.
down the street. It was like a mile away.
Yeah.
I wanted to turn right. It's like, no, turn left.
But unfortunately, this does point out that, the issue of range is a real one, or the issue of range anxiety is a real one, and it is somewhat responsible for a degree of resistance to buying EVs. So it is an indication. Yeah.
It, it is. It is. Okay, Larry. Anything else that is going on right now in the world of Tesla or the economy or politics or any of the other things that you're interested in that I have not touched on yet?
No, I think you've pretty much canvassed the world.
Well, then we should go to the thing that everybody cares about. They don't care about any of the rest of this. They just want to know what the stock's doing.
No, they don't know. They don't want to know what the stock's doing. They want to know what the stock is going to do.
So if you can believe it, in the after hours, we are now at 472.87, up another 10 bucks in the after hours after being up 26.79 during the regular hours. So that is almost $37. And somebody actually on X today said, I wonder if we're going to have a 10% day. They almost got it. So
How many Gordons did we? How many
how many
Gordons?
Gordons? Gracious. Somebody said that we've gone up since election day. We've gone up a General Motors, a Ford, and a Stellantis or something like that since election day. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I mean, we're past the all-time high, which was a dream, 3 months ago or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Um, and and the question is, what happens now?
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, I can just whatever it turns out to be, we just did it. We can reverse analyze why it should be that. If it goes to 800, I've just done the analysis
Yeah.
and tell you why it's going to be at 800. So it
What
is,
happens if it what happens if it goes to 200?
I'll buy more leaps. A
You
lot
say
of,
that you say
a
that
lot of
now.
leaps.
You say that now, but it was at 200. Did you buy more leaps when it was?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay.
I don't do short-term leaps anymore. I do long-term leaps. I really actually hold them for a long time, but I sold them unfortunately at 417. So so right now, I say never have regrets, Larry. You know this about me. I never have regrets. I have a little tiny regret right now about selling
No,
it for.
I have leaps that expire in mid of next year, which I bought some time ago. And I gave careful thought to when to roll them into a longer term leap
Yeah.
because there's a portion of my portfolio which is in leaps. And it's really hard to make that decision. Anyway, I'll wait till next year probably.
Right. Yeah, I just thought it was maybe, topping out and it would be a good time to, make 500 bucks or 1,000 bucks by buying in a little lower. But
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I've
I
got to do, I've got
missed
to
that.
do the math on this.
All right.
Yeah,
So, in addition to Tesla today, we had the Dow finally ending up down after being kind of flattish all day,
yeah.
110. NASDAQ up 247, did quite nicely
We
today.
were supposed to be in a rotation. We're not rotating.
We're not rotating at all. And the S&P up 22, kind of in the middle of those two.
Yeah.
The Magnificent Seven was mostly up, but Nvidia, do you think people are selling their Nvidia stock and buying Tesla now?
I don't understand the NVIDIA move. I have such confidence in that company. I don't think it's fully priced. I
Yeah.
must be, I must do my homework. I really don't think it's fully priced. I don't understand why it's loitering.
Yeah, yeah.
It's loitering at a pretty high level, but none
Right.
of it's loitering.
And all the Kathy Woods ended up today because
Yeah.
I think the bonds actually sold off a little. Well, the rates may have come down. Let's see here. Yeah, they did.
Do they actually come down?
A little tiny bit, Larry. We're still at
Okay.
4.395. So no, it's not really down. I did a big thing this morning on the show about the bonds. I'm very not nervous about the bonds,
Yeah.
but something is going to happen on these bonds at some point. Anyway, I'm back to recommending. It's not a what do you call it? It's not investment advice. It's a Randy life history advice. People that want to get into a long-term something at will pay them 4.4 interest for many, many years into the future, and probably the bond underlying value is going to go up. Seems like a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just me. What do I know? But I was right about the 5%. You remember that, right, Larry? I hit it on the nose at the 5%. Oil, 70 bucks 61. Really, really flat right now. Hasn't moved around very much the last few days.
I think oil's going to hit $60 within 3 months of Trump taking the presidency.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably fair. Maybe sooner. Maybe sooner.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
said within. I mean, I
Yeah, I
didn't.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Natural gas, unchanged in the pre-market. Gold, unchanged in the pre-market, man. Pretty much unchanged today too, 2669.
What is your view on the theory that Bitcoin has taken over the role of gold? Done.
No. Well, but I'm still only on chapter 3. I've been so busy. I mean, I can tell you, man, it's wearing me out to do all these shows. But I have not gotten past chapter 3 on the Bitcoin book yet. I don't think it's taking over gold. Remember, gold is only this far from all-time high. So
Gold is on the way down and Bitcoin's on the way up.
you think so, huh? Gold is only down
Oh, I mean, I mean, Bitcoin is making all-time highs all the time.
106,000 today. 106,
You
124.
know,
Yeah.
Kathy called us so well, man. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to gold, but I do think it's still two different markets. That's just me. You asked. I think it's very different.
There is a traditional market for gold that has grown significantly in the last couple of years because of the BRICS.
Yep.
I think China and Russia have breathed life or tried to breathe life into gold. But the fact that it's not holding its own during the run-up to the Trump presidency is of interest. By the way, you should know, I watched Trump's presser this morning.
Okay.
I have to say, this man is becoming more and more presidential.
Hmm.
I mean, you should watch it, Randy.
Good. Okay.
From all the, you know, boasting and whatever of 8 years ago, he is so modest about, he says his usual shtick, but
Right.
he's relatively modest about it, and he's quick to give credit where credit is due. He's quick to couch his claims in some degree with some degree of humbleness. I
Mm.
mean, honestly, he is so presidential now. Literally, he stands with such stature. I was so impressed. And by the way, the press have become so much more respectful. I mean, truly respectful. It's going well.
It's going well. It's going very well. I think that's another, we didn't talk about that. It was kind of the last item on my list, but
Okay.
the overall confidence of small business, the overall confidence of big business talking about hiring and spending money on CapEx, the confidence of the consumer is up. Everybody's confidence is up since the election. That confidence alone is going to create a momentum.
You know what this press conference was about? Masayoshi Son was pledging $100 billion investment in the US. And he had dinner with Trump last night, Masayoshi-san, and he was pledging to invest $100 billion. Well, he had invested $100 billion in the last Trump presidency. He's committing to $100 billion. And Trump on the dais said to him, I think you should do 200 billion. I'm going to force you to do 200. Poor old son was, he was a little bit bold. Anyway, sorry.
That's funny. That's amazing. Yeah, the negotiator. But anyway, the overall confidence, I think the confidence, the good feelings, I think it's going to flow through to consumer purchases and
We'll
decisions
see.
by companies to grow. It creates its own momentum. The pre-market for equities, Larry, pretty
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah.
Dow 61 negative, down 0.14. S&P down
Yeah.
825.14 also, and the NASDAQ down 22 or 0.10. So fairly flat trend,
Except for Tesla.
except for Tesla, which is just like like a rocket, like to the moon.
Everything that goes up must come down.
Well, I would like to buy those leaps at a little lower than this, but it's probably who knows? We'll see
Who
what.
knows? Who
So
knows?
Brian White and I did a two-part program, which is first part's gonna be on later tonight. And on that show, what I did was I took the 26 things that I think that robotaxi, well, FSD and robotaxi will be doing over the next 12 months before the introduction of cybercab, including what I believe is the introduction of robotaxi in mid-year and then cybercab at the end or the beginning of next year. So anyway, there's 26 pieces to this, so we had to break it into two, but the first half is on tonight at 7:45 California time. And so I'm just recommending everybody check that out. I think you'll find it to be very, very interesting.
Interesting. I will watch it, but I will tell you that my own rule of thumb is everything takes longer.
Longer, yes. Well, that's the rule of building a house, building a business, starting a factory. I mean, everything twice as expensive and twice as long.
It's as reliable as Newton's law of gravity,
Thank you, Larry, for
which
that.
Einstein overturned. But anyway,
You've tried to overturn the law of gravity. Yes,
no, Einstein.
and now Tesla, or no, SpaceX rather. Yes,
Yeah.
Larry, as always, thank you very much. Love your shirt. It's great. Brings out your
It's Christmas.
Christmas. There you go. Great. Thank you also, all of you, for supporting the channel. The numbers have been off the roof the last few weeks, and I appreciate it every single day. It's been great talking to you.